order. Okay, minutes, first order of business is the minutes.
Motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting and private.
12-6 public meeting and the 12-14 non-public. I'll second that.
Oh, right
Ex officio reports.
there. As most of you might have heard, Caitlin has resigned from the librarian position. At the end of this year, she will no longer be the librarian.
Excuse me. I'm trying to talk to somebody in the back of the room there.
As you know, that Caitlin has resigned from the librarian position as of December 31st.
1 second. Jake, please sign in. We have a guest minute taker, so if you would please sign in so we have, so she knows who's been here.
Is this a requirement?
Yes, it is required in our minutes that we note who is in attendance.
And I can't be here without signing in?
So I'm going to make this announcement one time again. Anyone here, please sign in so we have you listed in the minutes as present. We have a guest minute taker, and we would appreciate it if we had your name. And if you don't want to write it down, I'll write it down, and then you will not be able to speak the rest of the evening. Also, if you have a cell phone, please turn it off. Thank you.
And I will be in public space.
Go ahead, Lee.
Pretty much all he talked about was warrant articles, same old stuff. Porta toilets, again, that's good. Planning board, just went over lot merger, which we had to postpone for a different day. And that's pretty much, fire department did nominations for their elected officials. We'll go over tonight. Real short meeting. We're good on that one.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, I've got a whole lot of stuff going on here. Cemetery trustees canceled their meeting that they had planned as an emergency meeting because everyone wasn't available, so it couldn't happen. So the surplus funds sitting in the cemetery budget will just roll over into the general fund. The ambulance had their meeting. I requested once again that they turn in their write-off policy without the watermark. We have not gotten that back yet. We also have not gotten back the insurance write-offs that were supposed to be done this year. We couldn't discuss the grant because Heather wasn't there. They had 140 calls as of last Tuesday when the meeting was, which last year was 164 at that time. We also discussed people parking when they respond to calls and being considerate of the fact that the office building is open and people do need to access not only the front stairs but the back handicap ramp. Highway department, Joe Braley quit without any notice as of yesterday morning, so please be considerate. Our road agent is a crew of 1 + 1 part-time person who doesn't have a CDL, so he's doing the best he can. Anybody knows anybody with a CDL looking for a job, please send them to the town office to get an application. The budget committee met on the 7th, and we went through the supervisors of the checklist planning board, emergency management, fire warden, cemetery, and recycle budgets, and all were approved by the budget committee as passed on by the selectmen. We have posted for someone to do the town report. Sue Smith has done it the last several years and is not doing it this year. Anyone interested, please get a hold of one of us. Last week, I don't remember what it was I came in here for, but the thermostat was at 80. So just a reminder to everyone, if you use this building, please turn it back down before you leave. And then I just want to give everybody a little heads up. Petition warrant articles are due in the Selectmen's office by January 10th at 4:30 p.m. And with that, we'll go into public comment time. Seeing none, we have a 6:15 appointment who's not here yet. I think we got enough to go through the fire department elections, or you want to hold off on that?
Sure. We can go through the election.
this was slid into the inbox at the Selectmen's office. I'm guessing that's their way of telling us what happened.
I put it in there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they gave me, I just slipped in.
I thought I asked you and you said no.
No.
Okay, all right. So it says that all were nominated and elected because there were no changes. And I don't expect you to know this, but that can't happen that way.
Yeah, I should have known.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't have known. How could you know? So it's in their bylaws that elections happen 1 month, or nominations happen 1 month and elections the following. Also in 1995, when the warrant article passed, it says to see if the town will vote to formally recognize the Grafton Volunteer Fire Department as a town-managed department, and furthermore to authorize the Board of Selectmen to confirm all nominations for members and officers. And my big concern with this is that Chris Lyles was not in attendance according to the minutes, and he was elected, or nominated, and then subsequently elected as an officer.
Yeah. It was not.
Any thoughts?
It's a good idea to get hold of Roger and see when the last time he's been around. When was the last time he went to a meeting, any meeting, or even showed up to a call?
I don't think they have in their bylaws that, like, someone is not a member if they don't show up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're still a member. And we got people that haven't shown up for years and they're still members.
Right, yeah, and I don't know, I also don't know if their bylaws say that you have to, that that's a requirement as well for being an officer. The bylaws got suspended in, I think, April. For one meeting, but as far everything I've looked at going back through their minutes, they're back in effect, so they should be followed. And on that same note, someone mentioned that, so it says in their meeting minutes that Richard Jackson's background passed, and he was, someone made a motion to nominate him for membership. Can you find out what they're doing as far as background checks go? Because nothing came through the Selectmen's office to go to the state, and I talked to Mitchell and he said he was not asked to run one either.
Technically, Richard didn't need one, because he was part of the fire department before and never gave his resignation. So technically, he didn't need to be voted in.
He hasn't been on the roster in years.
He never gave a resignation letter. At least it's not,
No, might want to dig up the bylaws and see.
at least
if
it's
that's
not in his file.
in his file.
Yeah.
Roger has a personnel file that actually has records we can find now?
Mhm.
Wow, that's an amazing new thing. So what do you want to do with these? Do you want to find out about Chris before we give it our blessing?
Well, technically, pretty much this is the fire department right here.
No.
Technically, there's only 2 other people that aren't on here.
Sorry. I have to read over my shoulder. Ken Sherwood, John Mather, Jay Boucher. Is Hawk Sean a member of the fire department as well as the ambulance?
Did he resign? Yeah, but Jay wasn't there either.
No, just that you said this is basically
Oh.
a department, it's not, there's a
No.
few, there's a few more members
A
than that.
few, but
Yeah.
I know Jay doesn't want to
Heather's
eat.
sitting right there raising her hand,
Yeah.
going, me too. She's
I'm-
also a member who's not on this list.
Not raising my hand, nor am I qualified to be an officer on the fire department.
And I know Jay doesn't want anything to do with this.
Not what I was saying at all.
I know.
You just said this is basically the fire department, that everybody who's on the fire department is a
No,
member, and I was
This
just
is the
saying.
people
it's
that
not.
show up to calls, and
Okay.
so technically, yeah, this is the fire department, no one else shows up. I approve it. I know we've had issues with Chris in the past. And Ken.
So you're saying that it's okay for them to not follow their bylaws and not hold off
I
on
never
it?
go and talk to Roger.
Okay. How about you talk to Roger and then we can bring it back up next meeting?
Yep.
Because that's still before their next meeting, right? Thanks. Alan's still not here, is he? Dustin and Phil Timer. Well, I hope he shows up for your sake, Steve. I'm sorry you're so comfy. Here you came out just to help us and it's not here. How about the culvert?
Sure.
No?
No,
Something else?
no, it should be a quick one.
Yeah, it should be a quick one. So, some of you were here last meeting, Chris Fournier was here talking about the Wild Meadow Culvert project, and he subsequently contacted us that that grant fell through. He didn't get it because of something that wasn't responded to back in June, which was the last week that Sue was working for us technically, but was on vacation, so it may have been an email I saw and assumed that the emergency manager would follow up on, and it might be something he also thought someone else would follow up on, and no one did. So Chris has come back and he has found another grant opportunity for us. I'll just read the email that he sent to Sue. I'm not, sorry, to Sarah. He says that we no longer qualify for the FEMA grant due to no response to the earlier inquiry. However, there are 3 options on the table. Number 1, cancel the project. Number 2, continue with the project being 100% funded by the town, which would be a cost of about $100,000. Or number 3, apply for a different grant that will fund 90% of the project, where the FEMA grant was only going to cover 75%. There's a short deadline on this grant, as all applications are due by the end of this month. Chris's team will do most of the heavy work. Much of the information that they need, they can pull from what was used in the FEMA grant. There's a service fee of around $1,500. We would need to sign off on 3 federal assurances and a letter of commitment. It only requires 1 signature, does not need to be signed in a meeting. A decision on the grant application will not be made until the spring of 2023, but if awarded, the project will not happen until spring of 2024. And then she also sent, just got today, everything that needed to be signed if we're gonna go ahead with it. So, what do you think?
Like the different grant part. Not covering more than FEMA covered.
Yeah. I feel like we've already got so much invested in it that another $1,500 to have 90% covered makes sense.
Yeah.
Cause I think we've already spent like 35,000 on the engineering. I'm good with that.
Do we motion it, or?
Yeah,
Motion to accept the option to apply for a different grant.
I'll second that. And I'll sign all this. And it's 6:15 for our, time for our appointment that is not here yet. Is State Representative John Sellers in the building? You are. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Would you mind if we bumped you up, seeing as our other appointment isn't here? Oh, great, thank you.
Just cheer up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just want to say hello everyone and happy holidays to you all. So I won the flottorial. If you weren't aware, the flottorial has to do with the 10 towns in southern Grafton County. And it was quite a run, and it was my first time ever running. And so I just want to say that in all 10 towns, the vote came out to be almost tied. So I only won by 4 votes. So don't think votes don't count. And towns do make mistakes. Bridgewater happened to make a mistake of 40 votes, and it was all for my opponent. They just, when they added up, they had 4 different tables. They just added up the 4 tables, and they just dropped the 40 votes. But they found it in the recount. So, so the recounts work. It's quite a process. It looks like it's a little chaotic, but it's interesting. So I've been down to the State House and sworn in on the 7th, and at that point I've been to a couple other meetings down there, and we had orientation and things like that. So because I didn't automatically know exactly what we're going to be doing, how it works and stuff, it's interesting to see the process. At that point, there are about 821 bills that have been submitted. Some are duplicates, so there's probably about 800 bills there that we'll have a chance to look at. And at that point when I was reading through them, I've only read through, these are only the titles. I've only read through 400 of them so far, just the titles. And those titles, I can tell you right now, there's 76 of them that have to do with our schools. 76 of those bills. So people are all over the schools for one reason or another. So I did submit 4 bills, and one has to do with veterans plates. You know how they have the decals on those? And at that point, well, they now have the Space Force, so we're adding that in, and a couple other decals that we're actually missing. Yeah, the Space Force, right? Yeah. It sounds kind of weird, but it's there now. The other 3 actually have to do with schools. But the school, in my case here, it was more to make sure, like you guys are part of district or cooperative, I believe, right? Mascoma.
Yeah.
And sometimes when they hold all the school meetings, the school board, the school budgets, they hold them all in maybe Enfield or Canaan or wherever, right? But someone said that they would like to make sure that those meetings get moved around, so you people wouldn't have to travel as far. So hopefully occasionally if that passes, something like that would not force their hand unless everybody agreed to it on the school board or the school budget committee. So we made a situation where they would be allowed to say if all, I don't know how many members you have, let's say there's 7. If all 7 members said, no, we're going to hold in this Mascoma, that's going to be okay. But if one member just says, no, I want to make sure it moves to my town, it will actually move at that point. These bills like that, so one had to do with budget, one had to do with the school board, same thing. And then the other one, the third one had to do with just really breaking out the SAU, just saying, how much is that SAU portion costing? All right, here's the school budget complete, but then they want to break out the SAU value. So everybody can see what all the administrators and the SAU superintendent and buildings or et cetera like that would actually be. So pretty simple bills on that end of it. So What else? I've been to the county delegation meeting. They had our first one a week ago. And that was, again, I believe there's 26 state representatives in Grafton. There are 8 Republicans and whatever that adds up to. 18, 16, someplace in there, Democrats. We happen to have, the county's sitting really, sitting on a lot of money. And that's one thing I want to bring up to you folks. I hear you having culvert problems and stuff like, I live in Bristol, so we have the same problem still, just a different town. But the county is sitting on $12 million of, I want to say it's COVID money. And if there's a town, if you have a need, and we could try to find out what that, if your need actually would qualify for that. But they are sitting on $12 million, and it's not earmarked for anything. So, they have to use it within the next 2 years. So if this, some little $100,000 project, a $200,000 project, maybe you guys can get some money for you or something like that, or just get it applied and let them know up there. Also, you have another rep, Lex, that lives right here in town, and he and I have been working somewhat closely together. We're pretty much aligned as well as far as our views, and so we'll be doing things, hopefully fighting for you as well in that aspect of things. What else can I tell you? Like I said, this is my first time ever running, so it's going to be interesting. Really, first year, and I'm going to just really be learning. And I do have a website out there, and I just want to make it known. It's johnsellersnh.com. All right, on there is email, phone number, any way you want to get a hold of me at that aspect, and I will reply. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything. You guys have any questions for me?
On that COVID money, is there an application process?
So it's all new to me. I just found out the 12 million sitting there.
All right.
So
If you find out that there is something, would you please get a hold of our
I can absolutely do that. Yeah.
office? Thank you.
Because if it's COVID, I don't know if a cul-de-sac will work in that situation, but
Well, we've
You never know.
got plenty of other things we could
yeah, yeah, I know.
use help with funding, sure,
Right.
yeah.
You're standing in one of them.
Yeah, well, yeah, believe it or not, yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Go ahead, yes.
A few years ago, there was talk about education. There was a bill that went through and passed to allow the state portion of the education funding to follow the child, if you will.
Right.
Okay, there was also a follow-on bill that was proposed but not actually passed to allow that to happen for the town portion of the education for your child. Are you familiar with that, and what do you think the chances are of that this year?
So not familiar with the county portion that you're talking about, but it's an education freedom account.
Right.
All right, and that has been working pretty well for the folks that applied. Now, we happen to homeschool one of our kids and plus a couple of grandkids. So the grandkids have applied for the EFA and they've received it. And it's not you receive it, you only get what you can submit receipts for. So if we have $700 worth of books, we consider a receipt. Even though there's like almost $5,000 for each student out there. So when you're homeschooling, you just can't use that much. So my point is, you don't get that $5,000 automatically. You have to have a receipt for it. Now that does, not just for homeschool, but that can be used for private school and for religious schools or even charter schools at that point. Just even last week, I was under the impression, I don't know what it's 18,000, 19,000 over in Bristol per person to educate per student. And so I always thought that money went to that money went to the charter school, but I'm finding out different now. So I do have some thoughts on that. I mean, I've been following a group that's, I think they call themselves school fair funding, right, at that point. And I think and plus we've also just went through I call it a taxation study over in the Bristol area, SAU 4 over there, because every town is being taxed at a different rate when it comes to school. You know, and we have a couple of towns over there paying between $1.50 and $3, and other towns paying to $10, $11, $8, $9 in between. So going through that study really showed us, trying to say, are there any other formulas that we could use that would work better? And we came up with about 5 or 6 of them, but our job was to consider and investigate, and that's what we did. And so we reported that back. But we also determined during that time, something really needs to be done at the state level, and maybe possibility of having a statewide school tax to the point of everybody is taxed at the same rate. So, but that's only talk at this point. But there is this one group out there that are really pushing hard for it as well. And even I don't know where I land on it myself at that point. But funding is being looked into. In our Constitution, it says we're supposed to be taxed identically. So that's one of the problems we're running into. So. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
This may not apply to the $12 million, but whenever there's extra tax money, my vote will always be to return it back to the taxpayers. So.
It'd be what?
Return it back to the taxpayers would always be my vote.
That can't be, that can't.
May not apply to the
If we don't use it, it goes back to the federal government.
just a general fund.
Yeah, yeah. So. And I agree with you. We can return it, it'd be great. Any other questions? And, was your name Connie?
Sandy.
Sandy. I met Sandy while I was out campaigning this summer, and she gave me some of the drinks, so I appreciated it. But anyways, yeah. No other questions. I'm just, like I said, johnssellersnh.com. If you need to get a hold of me, phone number's there, just emails right there.
Thank you very much for coming.
All right.
Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, same.
I don't know. You know, those IT guys, sometimes emergencies come up, maybe there's some other town clerk without a working computer. I've got a minute before 6:30, we could do the public hearing for the town hall fees.
Sounds good.
So you got a minute to sing a Christmas carol if you want to fill time, or? No? All right, I got 6:30 now. So I'm gonna call the public hearing open for the town hall fees. A lot of this was discussed in our meetings, but not everyone here was there for all the meetings, so. Sorry, I have her notes instead of mine, and mine have highlighted things. So we do currently charge $25 for non-residents to use the town hall. We would leave that the same, if you want that to see what's going on. We did discuss adding a $50 refundable cleaning deposit because some people just can't clean up after themselves when they use the town hall, and it seems necessary. And then we had also discussed, some people use the town hall for their business, such as yoga. They charge for people to attend the yoga, so they're technically profiting off of what the taxpayers are providing others for free. You know, we pay the heat and the electric, and somebody else is getting $10 per person that attends. And I don't know if there's any other ones that are, is there any other events that go on? Well, maybe Shop Grafton. Right, it's a town rec committee thing, so that's a different situation, but yeah. So anyway, so that was the proposal on the table, so Sarah drew up a new form. It's basically exactly the same as the old form, except it adds in $50 cleaning fee. and $10 for a for-profit business. And we just kind of cleaned up the basic rules because there were some odd things in there, like you must provide your own bathroom superintendent, which we didn't understand, so we took that out. So that's about that. I'll open the floor to the public for comments unless you have anything to say.
No.
Okay.
Do you know what other municipalities charge for non-residents for the use of their town facility?
No idea, no. I should add probably too that we just did this earlier this year with the Cook Shack. After the cook, yeah, and the Cook Shack is also at $50 refundable cleaning deposit. And their non-resident fee is $100, so this is the bargain. Come do it indoors. Yes, Maureen?
So is that 25 plus 50, and then you get your 50 back?
For a non-resident,
Non-resident?
yes.
And do residents, what would the residents be paying?
$50.
The $50 refundable cleaning
Just the
deposit.
$50.
And they'll get it back
Yeah,
if it's clean.
yes.
Just to answer other municipalities, I have a group, we have Enfield residents there, and we pay the town of Enfield $50 for their community center for the month. So one day a week for the month. So they're charging residents, $50.
Okay, thank you. Good to know. Yes, sir.
So if someone doesn't clean up, who's gonna make $50 to clean? Is it Eileen?
It wouldn't necessarily go in someone's pocket, but it would help cover the cost of Eileen or whoever our cleaning person would be.
Just trying to think ahead, that's all.
Someone that can see cake on the floor.
Who's the inspector?
Right?
So,
Are you Steve?
Dude, look at me. I bring the dog in to eat stuff off the floor. That's about it.
Perfect.
That'd be against the
They'll clean
rules.
it too.
Just put service.
Call him a service dog?
Wait,
Cake eating service dog? Is
that
that
is
a-
and she does have good points. Like, who's gonna inspect that for every time? Is someone gonna come in here like the next day?
Yes,
They should.
yes. And Sarah has said that she would be willing to, depending on her workload, but what else do I have to do? I could, one of us will, one of the selectmen or our administrative assistant. Or if it happens to be the right day, it could be the cleaning lady herself that, yeah. Anyone else? Okay, I will close the public hearing. It's 6:34. And I will entertain a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt the changes to the usage of the building.
Thank you. I will second that. And still not going Treadwell. I hope somebody's computer isn't down in a really bad way.
Did Sarah call him today and make sure he remembered?
Not that I know of. Contrary to everybody's accusation that I'm a micromanager, I did not micromanage Sarah to that depth today.
No, I just didn't know if she said something.
I don't know.
Maybe didn't show up, I'll blame Sarah.
Sarah and I have decided that we get blamed for a lot of things because we do a lot of things. So seeing as you work all day, we're gonna start blaming you for everything
Oh,
that
that's
either
fine.
one of us know. All
I
right.
think cars made up with my phone number on. There you go.
All right. Let's move on to the vacant selectman seat. How's that?
Sounds good.
We have 5 candidates. If you guys want to stay where you are, if you can talk loudly, that's fine with me. If you want to stand or whatever you're comfortable with. The first letter we got was December 5th from Billy Robinson. All right, hello, thank you for coming. Second was David Hunter on the 12th. Maureen O'Reilly on the 13th, who's sitting right here writing and not paying any attention. Raise your hand, say hello. Thank you. Next is Pierre Blanc, in the back, and nobody saw him. The gentleman who had the answer about the Enfield Community Center. And Jenny Joyce. So, do you have any particular questions? Do you have any ideas about how you want to just let them talk? I don't want to let them talk forever.
Just give them like 2 or 3 minutes,
All right, 2 minutes apiece. You want to go front to back?
or right down
Or the same order? All right,
the same order.
there we go. Bill Robinson.
Yeah,
Why did you, what, just give us a quick 2 minutes why you put your name in the hat.
well, there was a need for it, and I've lived here about 6 years, and it was an opportunity to get involved more. I'm pretty much retired, so I got plenty of time, and I'm single. So I just thought I would throw my name in.
Thank you. David.
So my name is David Hunter. I've been in town for a few years, and similar to the person speaking before me, it was basically a need-based thing. The biggest thing for my point of view is there's been a lot of disruptions in town from folks that may have really good intentions but are causing a little bit more chaos than is necessary. So most of my platform is, let's leave Grafton alone.
Thank you. Maureen.
My name is Maureen O'Reilly. I've lived in town for 32 years. The reason I'm interested in the position is because I've had a lot of experience in town with different departments. I attend the select board meetings. I know the RSAs. I am fairly aware of the issues that you have in town and feel that I can work to improve those with the other board members.
Thank you. Pierre.
Pierre Blanc, I've been here just a year, so I'm kind of the baby of the group, I guess. I, like everyone else, there's a need. I understand it's an interim position. I'm trained as an attorney, so I get the way government works. And I don't have a platform because I just want to help out if I can.
What's your specialty in law?
Real estate.
Thank you, Pierre.
Yep.
And Jenny.
Well, I was born here. I've been a selectman here off and on for God knows how many years. And I knew there was a need, and I wasn't aware that there were so many people interested. But I said, well, I'll help if I can.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for anyone?
Not really.
Excuse me. So one thing I want to mention to Maureen specifically is you're currently on the budget committee, and there is a conflict.
I understand that. I will have to resign, but if you read my letter of interest, I believe that there's one more meeting that we'll have to have regarding warrant articles and the budget, I think, and then after that, I believe there's only a hearing. So if you should choose me, maybe you could give me a few days to wrap that up. I believe our meeting is tomorrow night, probably our last meeting.
Tomorrow afternoon.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
tomorrow
okay.
afternoon. I'm so
At
used to
2,
meeting
right?
At
Okay.
2, yes.
Yes.
So I think we'll have it all wrapped up by then. And I have told the chair that I was interested in this interim position, and he is okay with that also.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
My biggest concern is that I'm creeping to the end of my 3rd year here. Leaf's been on the board since March. Sarah's been with us since July. There's a lot of knowledge lost. There's a lot of continuity that's going to be lost. So I'd kind of like to go back around to the 5 of you and ask, tell me what you know about what the selectmen are responsible to do between now and March elections.
I'll volunteer first. So for myself, fundamentally, it's executive action on town issues. So if it's processing of grants, if it's dealing with emergency situations that require funding, it's the CEO of the town, so to speak, or in this case, board of directors. So to that extent, that is the granularity and detail that I'm aware of. So there's jumping into certain situations, providing emergency direction. But beyond that, most of my professional expertise does rely on divide and conquer using subordinates. So if the town roads need issues resolved, working with the person that's in charge of the town roadway department to rely on them to say, we need these resources, and then working with them to obtain it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I realize it's gonna be a lot. I mean, just from what you talked about tonight, I don't know specifically, but I know there's a lot going on, and I understand that, you know,
Okay.
you need somebody to fill that third seat.
Thank you.
I realize it's just a temporary position. I've served on a lot of different committees throughout my life and boards for different things. I retired from Xfinity. I was an engineer, design engineer for Xfinity, and currently I'm semi-retired. I still work part-time jobs. One's in security and other one's for manufacturing. To me, I'm pretty green coming in on it, so I would rely on the wisdom of other people that have, predecessors or whatever, that kind of a thing. And try to listen to the different sides of these different situations and see what other people think, that sort of thing. Not just my own decisions and matters and that sort of thing, but I also, for myself, it'd be a good experience and a way to get involved more with the town.
Thank you. Maureen, you had your hand up at the same time.
Do you mean in general, or do you mean specifics? From now until March?
I was thinking specifics. I was thinking about
Okay.
there are important town business functions that must occur between now and March. That's, yeah.
Okay. There are a lot of problems in town right now, so you have a lot on your plate as far as finding people that have left departments to fill those seats. You have to get people, work on the budget, encumber funds. Gosh, there's so many, I just, I'm at a loss for what to say, but, work during, set up town meeting, work at town meeting, straighten out the issues on the fire department, straighten out the budget issues, figure out how to spend the money, take care of the culvert situation, work on the grant. There's just, not that you have to get all those done before March, but if you're not gonna be here, you need to kind of give the other people who come on board a clue as to what has to happen, because basically a lot of stuff, as you were saying, gets lost in transition from one thing to another, so. And I've noticed it's happened over the past, so. And we have a new office person also, so there's an awful lot of responsibility. There's a lot of new things that need to be done right now. It's a 24/7 job.
Thank you. Jenny?
Everything that Maureen said and more. You're losing people left and right. You've got your library, you've got to find somebody to do the town report. That has to be done and out before town meeting's even thought of. I don't know how you're gonna do it. You are between a rock and a hard place right now. and you've got so much ahead of you that, and I think about all the years that I've been here and what I've done, and you have to work together, basically. And sometimes you have to work overtime. You,
Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, I've already got my options.
you know, what, I've had people still call me.
Do you want to make a decision tonight?
Let us let everyone know that down to everyone here, I appreciate you throwing your hat in the ring. I've narrowed it down to 2. If I was not in my first year as a selectman in this town, I probably would be more lenient to go to someone else. But with what's coming from January to March, the deliberative session, elections, warrant articles, the book, I'm down to Maureen and Jenny, just to help.
I tend to agree with you. I completely appreciate the 3 gentlemen, but as I said before, and I'll say it again out loud, even though people don't like the way I talk sometimes, we've been used to Sue wiping our asses for us for years. Sue does every little thing. She's done every little thing, and without that, we're treading water. You know, Leaf and Sarah and I are just treading water.
You gave her too much responsibility.
Yeah, she did. She did everything. Yeah,
She wasn't one to say no.
and we really need somebody sitting with us who doesn't also need to learn right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you're teaching Sarah how to say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she tells me.
She knows how to tell him though.
I didn't know who was gonna be applying, I put my name in the ring, I'm gonna formally withdraw, I think that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
But no, but that's not necessary. But no,
No,
but we
it's-
really do appreciate it. Really,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I was kind of surprised to see so many people put their name in the hat.
And
Especially
I
nowadays.
encourage all of you to run in March. And there will be 2 open seats. There's a 1-year and a 3-year. So please,
Or run
Please.
for something else.
you're right.
Even walk for something else.
I know. This is Grafton, no
Start
run.
off crawling.
Yeah, because there are so many positions that are open that nobody even runs for.
Right.
There's not even a name.
That's the only reason I'm here. Nobody else had signed up. I went in to sign up for cemetery trustee again and asked who else was signed up, and there was no one signed up for selectman. Because I know none of you would have picked me if there was somebody else.
The last ballot, we had, 6 positions that no one even ran for.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
yeah.
why I wanted to mention, in March is the elections, but when's the actual cutoff date? It's January.
Yeah,
30th
January 25th.
Is when you have to sign up, so don't think you have till March to run.
Right, no,
You
make
have
up your
only in
mind now.
January.
I go see Bonnie.
January, I would say it's January 25th to February 3rd.
And make sure you're able to vote. If you
Right,
can't
has
vote,
to be
you
a
can't.
registered
You have to be a
voter.
registered voter.
Yep. Oh, which we didn't even ask anyone that, if they were
Don't.
registered voters.
I think you're gonna sign up and get in March, and they're gonna say, sorry, you can't run.
Yeah. So candidate sign-up will be January 25th through February 3rd, 2023. February 3rd is a Friday, and the town clerk is required to be open from 3 to 5 that afternoon for people who haven't made up their mind before that. But sign up early, get your name out there, get your
Anybody
campaign
can
going.
always call the office or the town clerk's office and ask her what positions are open.
Right.
It also gets posted, the open positions on the
Yep, she
website.
does.
Yeah, she did. She's done a really good job since we got the new website of keeping up to date on that. And every day that Bonnie was open this year in 2022, and people would come in and sign up, she would put out an update. So you could stay on top of it, which was nice. I tend to agree with you, and I'm concerned that Maureen's still on the budget committee, and she's an extremely contributing member of the budget committee and very useful to
If she
have there.
resigns, she can still be part of the budget committee.
Actually, I could, it'd be ex officio and take some of the stuff off your shoulders. But it's almost done. I think we only just have one more meeting and then the hearing, so.
I was hoping we could swear somebody in tonight and get them, hit the road,
I'll swear at
hit the
you.
ground running. That I don't need any more, I don't need any more people doing that, especially this week.
If you should pick me, could you swear me in tomorrow night instead? So I can go to my meeting? I like following through on things.
What's wrong with Wednesday?
Yeah.
Figure I'll go to her house tomorrow night and swear her in.
I'm honestly leaning towards Jenny, just 'cause, no offense, Maureen, just because Jenny,
Okay.
for me, it's a comfortable spot. I'd love to have Jenny sitting right here again going, dummy, do this, dummy, knock it off.
I think Cindy and I need to battle it out,
Okay.
or not battle it, but just discuss it a little bit more. You got down to 2.
She just wants somebody there to kick her a little bit under the table once in a while.
Well,
There you go.
go and make your case. I think we need to debate this in public. I don't think this is something we can go into a non-public on.
True. Well, you yelled at for having a meeting, so.
Unless you prefer to table it until the 3rd. I think there's things to do in the next few weeks that we really need help.
Yeah.
I have a question. How much money do you have to do the town report?
The stipend is $1,200, and I believe we budgeted, I wanna say another $1,200 or $1,500 for printing.
Well, because there's a paper shortage, and printing prices have gone through the roof. Maybe one of these gentlemen know how to do that. If not, then you better make a good offer to Sue to get that going, because we at the Historical Society had an awful time getting the calendars printed.
Oh.
Yeah,
good to
no
know.
copy moved from Lebanon to Hanover, and refusing to do certain projects
Yeah.
under 6 months. So, yes, they went to the place in Bristol, Impressions, and got them done in, what, a week?
Yeah, it cost us $685.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I know.
Do you know what that was the year before?
300.
Oh, so it was double. Wow.
So it was double.
Oh. Of
There
course, we do always end up with too many.
Yeah,
We could order less. I mean, that'll help a little.
Yeah,
We do
we
end up
should.
with, yeah.
there are companies also that specifically do town reports for you.
And again, we could also go back to something simpler, like we had a few years ago,
Yeah.
and, you know, we don't need the glossy colored photo on the cover and, you know, that kind of thing.
The smaller one, right, as opposed to the bigger one.
Yeah, that's an option too. Make your case. I'm not closed-minded.
No, yeah. Problem is Maureen is part of the budget committee right now. Take her a couple days to get sworn in.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow
And then
is
you
my
leave the
last
budget
meeting.
committee in a lurch too. They just had to go through finding somebody to replace Pam.
And they're used to it then.
I have someone in mind to take my place already that I've mentioned to Ed.
Who quit on the budget committee?
Pam Curran had quit a couple months back
Oh,
and
yeah, I
Maureen
know
was
she
appointed.
was. Yeah.
Do I have to sell myself here?
Go for it.
This would be good practice for me also because I'm intending to run for either the 1-year term or the 3-year term, and I have run before in the past. So it'd be good practice, so to speak.
It would have to be nice to get someone else trained for this run. I can see having 3 new people, well, 2 new people, and needs to be on this table next year.
I feel like we can't legally appoint her. She's a member of the budget committee. It's a conflict.
All right, then I'll resign tomorrow. How's that?
Right, now we got an opening on the budget committee.
Right, now there's 2 openings.
There
Why do
isn't,
you, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Why do you want the position so bad?
So he's asking you,
Yeah.
Maureen.
it's not that I want the position. No one would want the position.
I ran for it.
No one's
It's that I
saying.
feel I can be helpful. I've been here 32 years. I've attended many of the meetings. I was town clerk. I was welfare administrator. I was library trustee. I helped the people out in Orange with welfare and town clerk. I've got a fair amount of experience with the municipal.
Yeah, but you're already on a committee, we have somebody else here that's equally qualified that will also step in and do it.
I understand that. As I said, I think my last night with the budget committee, basically, as far as doing budgets, is, I mean,
Gary,
tomorrow Monday.
Gary, please. She's speaking. Go ahead, sorry.
You want to repeat it?
No.
Okay, that's all I got to say. Tomorrow, I believe, is my last day on the budget committee that we have anything to do.
Jenny, are you ready to open a can of worms?
Sure,
Come back on the board?
sure. I wouldn't have asked Cindy.
Well, I know your husband said he was gonna divorce you if you're back on the board.
That's okay, but you know, after 62 years, who in the hell's he gonna find out?
Actually, that's me, because I said the same thing about Cindy.
62
Well, maybe Wesley and Steve can run off together and me and Jenny will be selected until we.
Yeah.
We're going to Disney World.
All the stuff that's coming, I would be,
Flip a coin.
would like someone that knows what to do. It being my first year, no one else sitting next to me other than Cindy that knows what she's doing. Kind of feel bad because she'd be doing pretty much everything because I'm just a deer in headlights.
And I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm bullshitting my way through a lot of it myself.
So, yeah. I choose Jenny. No offense, Maureen.
And don't give up,
No.
Maureen.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, I enjoy just as much being a thorn in their sides here at meetings. Might be more fun. I don't have to act properly when I'm sitting in the audience at the table. I'll have to be good.
These 2 don't know what they're getting into.
With you?
Yeah.
I do. I do.
Okay.
I've still got, I can still feel that. Yeah, I know.
Just take her cane away from her. She can't catch you.
I bet I can.
Bet you want that cane.
Yeah, except how many kids and grandkids and great grandkids she's got running around that'll fight that fight's for her. They'll hold you down until she gets there.
Not yet. God, I hope not.
Make that a motion.
Motion to accept Jenny as a third seat.
I'll second that, thank you. I'm gonna swear in right away.
I think I needed my.
Jenny, ready?
What?
Ready to read?
I don't know how to read.
You can practice inside, it's
That's too far away.
Just say you give up all your property and belongings to us.
You take the mortgage too?
Rumpelstiltskin, Rumpelstiltskin.
So you had that chair up here for some reason.
There you go, see?
Face them. Where's the paper? I told her. I Jenny Joyce, do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as selectman of the town of Grafton, New Hampshire, for the next, how many months? 3 months?
Yep.
Till March 14th.
Till March
14th.
14th?
Yeah.
Okay, March 14th, according to the best of my abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of this Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help me God. This I do under the pains and penalties of perjury. Okay?
Fill your name and all that. Well,
Put my name and all that. Oh, okay.
No, Leaf doesn't need any help at all. Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome.
And thank you all sincerely for stepping up and wanting to
And
help.
thank you all, and you better show up. You too. Go.
I'm so sorry Alan didn't show.
Yeah, you get rated off. Write him off for the night.
We just got the warrant article go through, right?
Warrant articles and
That's it.
correspondence. Thank you. All right. Oh, and the ambulance grant. If you wouldn't mind coming up, Kathy, and letting us know just what in the world happened since we last had you at a meeting and talked about this.
Talk about it.
It was mentioned at, I think it was mentioned at the budget workshop.
Yes,
Yeah.
probably. So, since then, Heather was been working on it. And, the person that she's been speaking to at the USDA down in Claremont, Andrea,
Election.
and I have a copy here of the
Official.
thing today.
Hang on 1 second, I'm sorry, they're still.
Sorry.
That's
No.
all right, I'm listening.
Kathy's kind of a quiet talker, so
No.
it's kind of hard to hear.
I
Yeah.
usually told them loud, that, we had put in for 50,000, which is usually what they give. But, in an email today, that I just saw, she said that, we should put in for 35%. She encouraged us to ask for 35% of the total thing, which comes to $92,070. And, it had to be in by Friday. And apparently, I think she did get it, even though for some reason my email stopped working this morning when I was trying to, yesterday and this morning, so it sounds like she got it and that, they will ask for more info as they need it. They meet on this, so I know when we talked, one of the big things is how to write the warrant article, which I don't know about writing warrant articles. That we want the selectmen to be able to expend the funds in our capital reserve fund for this new ambulance, which looks like if things go and you know that it changes, that it would be ready next January. They had said 2 years when we talked about it in July, but they said, looks like it might be ready next January. It could change with what they can get parts for and stuff. It would be nice, we might get that, we might get less than that, so we don't know what we might get for that part. And the other part was for the selectmen to vote and agree to give us the 30,000 from the ARPA funds towards it also.
I gotta go back to square one. The selectmen sat at this table and told you all that we wanted to see that grant before it was filed. I got an email from Heather saying that I had to have a login as the chair of the select board for it to be submitted. So how did you and Heather go ahead and do that without Leaf and I being involved whatsoever or having any heads up that it was happening? Because the last we heard was she washed her hands of it and dropped this stack of papers on Sarah's desk.
Friday, Heather called me and said that she had told Andrea the same thing, that she had washed her hands of it. And Andrea encouraged her, no, don't drop it. send it in anyway, as is what you've got. And
And
that's
you
what we did.
did not contact Lee Fry?
No.
Or even Sarah? Well, she wasn't in Friday
No.
anyway, so you couldn't.
No. And by the time we finished getting it together, I just had time to get it in at that point.
So how did you manage to do that without the requirement that the chair of the select board be a part of it, as we were told was a requirement?
I have an email here from her that said she didn't require you. I don't know anything about grants. If she said it didn't require it and you needed to be in by Friday, that's why we did it.
I don't know how to proceed. I don't know how to proceed.
I think
You
you
came,
should take a copy of the email.
I asked for copies of everything and
I
we've
just got
gotten
this,
nothing.
I just got this later this afternoon. I could show you on my computer where it says I sent it to you. I don't know why. The other stuff was going through.
And I did explain that my concern was that there was that, remember that grant last year that we went through?
Yep.
Where they got that riot gear or whatever, and that whole application was just full of misinformation.
That was had
And-
nothing to do with that. That went through the auxiliary. And she
Right.
put it in. Okay, where,
Oh, yes, but she's no longer there.
right.
No.
So I forwarded you that email that I just got this afternoon after I got home. Because, like, you would email me afterwards when Heather said that, are you gonna pick it up? I had no idea what to do with it, and it was only 3 days afterwards. The other part was you said, how are you gonna raise the money without the grant? Well, no, we were depending on, getting some grant money. So I was desperate to get that grant in if we could get some money.
Okay, so you two are gonna have to fill me in on some of the things that have been going on. Absolutely. In the office. And then we may have to have, I say we may have to have a special selectmen's meeting in between. I know it's a pain in the
Sure, yep,
ass, but
yep.
that way you can,
So the ambulance department looked at 3 different ambulances this spring,
I knew that.
settled on the one they wanted,
Yep.
came to the board, we agreed to, we sent a letter to this Autotronics who we're purchasing it from, letting them know that we intend to purchase it. At $263,059, that the purchase is contingent on a warrant article passing at the March 2023 town meeting. There are other, like, lease to purchase options, we could look at it should it fail and we still wanted to go through, but this Kyle Daigle from Autotronics made it clear that if it fell through, they would find somebody else to sell it to, so they weren't concerned if we,
Okay.
they wouldn't come and sue us if we didn't purchase it. So there's been a series of emails and ambulance meetings I've gone to, and where are we at with the grant, I had attended a webinar for this USDA grant back in August, and forwarded that information off to Heather, who was, for some reason, the only person in the ambulance department that was willing to do anything to try to get funding. And it's been, October 1st was when the grant application opening started, and why nothing happened till now, I'm not gonna assume anything, I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus on it. For whatever reason, nothing was done until technically this week, 2 weeks ago. And at that point, I was asked what my full legal name was so that someone could create a login for me to apply for this grant, which I refused. And I said, get your stuff together, show me what you've got. And this is where we're at now. It didn't get done.
It's a federal grant. I didn't know anything about grants. Heather offered to take this on. It was a lot of work. She has spent hours and hours doing it. The stack of paper is this thick that she has had to put together.
It's right there, and it's mostly financials from Sue.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the three quotes from the three different places that they looked at.
She's been in correspondence with the person down in Claremont who was, that's what USDA offices about what to do with Lucy, and she had to get this SAM.gov thing going
I
too
thought it
before
turned out that wasn't part of it.
No, that was part of it.
that was part of, she had to have that, and that took a while to be able to get.
So most of this stuff is in the office anyway, right?
Yeah, it's all financial stuff, it just requires
Okay.
some time to pull together, you know, they're looking at budgets, there's questions about what we've done with the ARPA funds so far, you know, what's, annual budgets.
So my only questions on this is, it goes to accounts receivable POC, Sue Smith, Selectmen, Town of Grafton, New Hampshire, that's not our email. Electronic business, Sue Smith, Selectmen, Town of Grafton, New Hampshire.com,
Right.
not her email.
These were my.
Government
comments.
business, Sue Smith, Selectmen, Town of Grafton, New Hampshire.com, not her email.
Yep. And without having had time to look through this, we don't know what, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of little things like that, because we're human beings and this happens. And this is why another set of eyes is always a good idea.
Another thing, Heather,
Yeah.
this thing from Bonnie, who stamped it?
The original has a stamp.
Who stamped it?
Bonnie.
Can you stamp your own item?
You can't notarize your own signature.
No.
That's Bonnie saying, what that paper that you're holding is a requirement saying that we are a legalized town in the state of New Hampshire.
Yes,
She stamped it. The original has the stamp.
Show it to Jenny.
it has a stamp.
Yeah, the original
Bonnie
has the
signed
stamp with the seal, the town seal stamp.
I didn't know you could sign your own.
This is to certify that the town of Grafton was.
No, she did not need a notary. Yeah,
I
it's
didn't know
not
she
a
did.
notary.
It's not.
That's
so-
not a
Yeah,
it's
notary.
just
she should do that with the
it's just
with the
a
cemetery
stamp.
deeds too.
She's
Stamp.
certifying that that's an official document.
Okay, it's not an order,
Yeah.
I can't.
Mhm.
Why?
You can't see what it is anyway. She might have done it as town clerk.
Correct.
Oh, it's just a Town of Grafton, New Hampshire stamp.
Yep, town clerk.
I bet.
Well,
That's
if you
okay.
don't, if you don't
Yeah, know
ask,
what
you
you don't
don't
know,
know.
exactly, great.
And,
If you don't ask, you don't know. Okay,
I'll leave it.
all
Okay,
right. You can
yeah.
talk, I'll look.
I said this to you yesterday, I'm just terribly disappointed that you all went and did this basically behind our backs after months and months and months of, we're trying to get this done, we're trying to help you, and now, here we are.
It hasn't been refused though, right?
What hasn't been
Has
refused?
the grant been refused, or do we have a decision yet?
Oh, no, it just.
There will be no decision till September, right?
March.
March now? Now that changed too.
No. So originally, Andrew had told me that the grant decisions come out in March, the latest is September of
Okay.
the following
All right.
year.
Thank you.
Okay, so now what do you have to do?
We need, part of, two things, and we talked about this Tuesday night, that needed to be done, was, minutes from a meeting where the selectmen voted to approve $30,000 of ARPA funds.
Which
to
has
go
not
towards-
happened yet.
No,
We have not done it because we were holding off on finding out exactly where all the numbers were gonna sit. So we didn't have to go back and redo things. We also have to put together a warrant article, and if we don't know what these numbers are, if there's fluid numbers, I'm not sure how we do that.
Right. So
And
you
that-
have to contact the attorney when you get the numbers, if you don't know exactly.
Yeah, right, which is something we had discussed that we need to work on together, to
Because
sit
we
down
were
and talk
trying-
about where is all this gonna come from? The other thing they need us to do is some sort of a public, it's gotta be a public informational meeting according to them, which, again, we've been shoved to the side, not able to participate in the entire thing, so I don't know how I run a meeting to give people information about a grant I don't know a thing about.
So, who knows about it? You and Heather?
Heather knows most of it. She's had the run of doing this stuff and phone calls and filling out and everything else, and she's been in contact with Sue and somewhat with you also for a while.
Here, 1 second. Heather, come on up. Stop leaving Kathy in the hot seat.
No, she's not leaving me in the hot seat. I'm head of the unit, and this is where I'm supposed to be, but.
Yeah, but she did most of the work, so.
Yeah, she's put a ton of work into this.
Okay. So now, you don't wanna have to start back at square one, because you've done all this work. And what are the forms, and you've sent forms to some lady?
We sent them to the USDA grant application.
An application.
Andrea gave us an address, an email address to send it to, and I took the forms and I sent them.
Okay.
Because they had to be in by 5 o'clock Friday.
All right.
I'm sure they went through.
And I understand that you were on a time constraint, so, and I understand that. So you didn't have time to call the selectmen. Now, we've got to scramble, right?
Yeah.
So all of these papers here, you're gonna have to go through them, and any corrections, even if they're financials, are gonna have to be changed. If you, like, if it's a wrong email address, you're gonna have to correct it.
Where was the wrong email address? Because I probably can shed light to that.
I don't know.
Something about Sue,
Yeah,
Right.
the financials.
Yeah. Yeah.
You read off 3 different links, I think they're all on the same page.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
I probably heard about it.
And like you said, Sue.
Because if it was
So
the
that's sorry.
sam.gov part, she's the only one that has access to that, because Cindy was unfamiliar with sam.gov.
Yeah, but Sue has her own email. The email you gave is Sarah's.
Right,
You're talking about selectmen, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Accounts receivable, accounts business, government business.
Oh, and so you're saying that's what Sam.gov already had
right,
in their
so.
thing for our account? That
Yeah,
makes
this is
sense.
sam.gov.
That's what they
So,
already
yeah,
had.
so why to shed light on this? Last year, I think you guys had to do it for ARPA, correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong. They had to do it from ARPA. So Sue set this up to help Cindy.
So she was, okay.
So I needed to get an editor to move forward in this grant. So she's the one that needed this, and this is required for the grant. So
And the editor
it needs to be
pre-filled.
right, it needs to be updated in
Okay.
SAM. That's not any of the documentation we provided.
That's just what Sam already had, 'cause that's what we always, yeah.
Correct.
I just don't want you to send this in and saying this is the wrong, have them say this is the wrong email.
Right,
It
they'll
does.
just say, Sue, and then Sarah could be like, well, Sue no longer, this email's correct, if it's the correct email, which I believe,
Yeah.
you read it, that was fine.
Yeah.
And then Sarah can be like, well, this is Sarah, but thank you. But that's not the
Yeah, because Sue
financial.
has her own, through the
Right.
treasurer, right?
Treasurer, yeah.
The only, thing that we filled out currently on that grant is the financials, which I worked endlessly with Sue. And then they also got, 3 years of audits, 2019, 2020, and 2021. All which is available for the selectmen to review, since it's from your office.
Okay, so now we have to move forward, right?
Yep.
Right.
So moving forward, as I spoke to Andrea, because she actually called me, and pretty much saying that nobody in the state has, or very little, has applied for the state pool. She said we have a high probability of getting the $92.70 because not very many people are entering the state pool. And she said, you can send it incomplete, get together with your EMS chief and figure out. You do not necessarily need the selectmen's backing because there's, as you look through the documentation, there is no signature for the select board signature. What Cindy was referring to was a unique identity, not a login ID, which the unique identity, which I explained to Cindy in an email, is just to have our names there, so if they need to look us up. And we need the middle name because there could be a lot of Cindy Kudlicks, there could be a lot of Heather Hunters.
Right.
So if I do Heather Christian Hunter, that would be different than another Heather Sarah Hunter.
Who's Bert?
Bert, B-U-R-T. That's my
Middle
middle
name, Christian Bert Kemper.
Right, that's my full name. Heather Christian Bert Camper. Camper's my main name.
Middle name.
Well, Camper's my main name, which I just moved over and said I didn't want her. So that was ideally what that was, and she said, well, send in, Andrea said, send it in, and what will happen in 2 to 3 weeks, we will send you guys a letter saying what's needed.
Okay, so after you get the letter, then how do you proceed?
We address what's needed. There will be a narrative that's required, the narrative is incomplete. Everything else, I mean, the checklist is right here, which was also given to Cindy by email and copy in the town office, and I also included Kathy on that as well. And then you can actually see what I checked off and all that other stuff. All the financials were put together. It literally was the narrative that was left, which I was going to work with Cindy and Kathy on the narrative. But due to some emails received on my behalf, I decided I am done.
Well, I hope you're not done. Okay.
When you volunteer, you kind of want to be treated
Well,
with respect, right?
Amen, amen.
Yeah, I do understand that, okay? So, let's move on from here, okay?
So 2 to 3 weeks is what Andrea said, that we'll send a letter. We will, since Kathy is
So
worried about
we-
it not going through, I will confirm. April is the federal deadline, so even if we missed this deadline, there's the federal deadline in April, which
Okay.
is more cool.
So after the narrative comes, you have to have a public hearing, right?
Yep, information session,
Well,
which can be,
The beginning or the end of a selectmen's meeting, just in case people have any questions.
sure.
it's just saying, hey, we're applying for a grant for the new ambulance.
Yep.
And then even Andrea insured us, okay, so we go through that, and then March rolls around, and for whatever reason, the select board's like, no, we don't want that money. They don't have to sign it. It's literally, we're applying for it, and then the final decision comes when you get the
As is
award.
with all grants, yeah,
Yeah,
that was.
and you'll need a warrant article, right?
That's one of the big things, is I don't know anything about, I thought we were just asking for the selectmen to be able to take the capital reserve fund to apply to this, and that we are not looking for any town, tax money to go towards this new ambulance.
Right.
That we had the
Well, see,
grant and,
then the warrant article would read that the Grafton Department.
Yeah, we went through the whole thing last time. We
Right.
had it all set according to what we had anticipated was going to happen, and then they turned around and did
And
something
well, you
different.
said
And it
50,000,
says-
and there's no guarantee we'd get the 50,000 either. There's
And
no
there's
guarantee
actually
we'd
really
get back.
good 92.
No,
Right.
but the guy that had the other ambulance that Kyle came with.
Yeah,
For
from
me,
Home Orchard.
Yeah, he was pretty sure that, given our circumstances, we would probably get it.
But he
Yeah,
got
and they
his,
said the same thing at the USDA.
yeah, but he got his grant through FEMA. He didn't go through the USDA.
So how many
He told us that.
strings are attached to this grant?
Hmm?
How many strings are attached to the grant?
We have to, I believe, match how much we get, but we have enough for that
Right,
already.
okay. And then-
If we get the 92, and that's what she wrote in the email today.
Okay, so you want to guard those emails with your life, because then if somebody steps forward and says, you have to do this, you can show them the emails where you
Exactly.
don't have to do this. Okay, Miss Cindy, next.
We did.
Next,
Next on this?
Yeah.
Well,
Kind of wait till we hear back from them, don't we?
well, if we wait 2 to 3 weeks, we don't have a warrant article to write.
Sure.
It's too late. We have to have a warrant article by January 10th, because it's a money warrant article, so it has to go to the budget committee for a vote.
But it can be amended at town meeting also,
yes.
if there are any changes that need to be made.
She's
Good
right.
point, yep.
She's right. She's right, yeah.
So does the warrant article have to say how you are getting all the money, or just for you to be able to spend the money that's in there?
If we have to, it has to say that we will raise and appropriate X amount of dollars, whatever was the bottom line on the ambulance, 259, whatever the number is, we've said 100 times.
Yep.
And as we went through the last meeting, oh, it's probably in the minutes, right? In the minutes, I can read it right out to you.
And the grant, and yeah, depending on what we got for grant.
Because we, pretty much.
So here's the way I had written it, with the caveat that I hope I got it right based on other warrant articles in the past, and it has to go past the town attorney and DRA and all that. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $263,059 for the purchase of a 2023 Braun ambulance, which we could probably add more detail in there if we need to. And to fund this appropriation by authorizing the withdrawal of $163,059 from the already established Ambulance Capital Reserve Fund, $50,000 from the USDA grant received in January 2023. Obviously, that date needs to get changed. $30,000 from the encumbered ARPA funds, and the remaining $20,000 from the ambulance revolving account. And then there was a little discussion in the room, and I believe it was Maureen that pointed out you should add something in there that this warrant article has no effect on taxation.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's where we were at.
And
And to allow the select board to expend.
Yeah, you gotta put on there that allowing the select board to expend, because if you don't,
Well, and that was my other question was, do we need to, because the legislative body would approve it, so do we still need to be agents to expend it? If it's a warrant article that passed, it seems like, and that was, like I said, another question that we would have to take to the DRA or
yeah,
the attorney or
you'll have
whoever.
to ask them,
Yeah,
because you might not have to do that.
but as of
I
yet,
think they do have to do it because it's still money that was
Right.
raised by the town or sits in town.
and I based that actually off of the truck we just bought for the highway department, and that was not in there. So I don't know if the selectmen have already been established as agents to expend, and maybe that's why.
Maybe.
I figured that was a minutia that could be sorted out later. But yeah, so we have not officially earmarked any ARPA funds for it because we were waiting to find out what happened with grant money.
So you're gonna have to get your warrant article written up. And
Can we just use that one, just change it to, we can spend up to $30,000 in ARPA funds? So we don't do them exact numbers, up to?
I'm not sure, that's another good question for the DRA, I think.
And if
You know what, no, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say it has to be exact, I'm pretty
Right.
sure it has to be exact,
yes.
yeah. And this is quite honestly just the reason why I was so upset about the entire thing, because, and I know you don't have grant writing experience like other people do. Diane Burrington and I talked the other day, and she was like, if you know there's a grant opportunity coming up, you have everything ready to go. So when that window of opportunity opens, you're ready to go. And not only did I ask and ask and ask and ask, where are we at, and not really get updates. Tom McGinty quit a few weeks ago. We just did not need one more thing to scramble at the last second to try to do. It just, this whole thing's been overwhelming. I've been so supportive of the ambulance department and so supportive of getting this new ambulance, and I honestly felt stabbed in the back by the two of you when you told me that you went and did that Friday and could not even reach out to us to let us know that was going on. But we have to move on. It's got to get done.
So if this, the warrant article you wrote
Yeah.
is on base that we would get $50,000 from the grant.
Right.
So what happens if we do it this way and they get more from the grant?
So we won't even know how much we're getting until March.
I know, but if this goes like this,
Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. These are questions we need to, one of us is going to need to reach out
And
to
it's
someone who
important,
does know.
it's important to know, even if we applied October 1st, we still would not hear until March of next year or
Absolutely.
September.
Absolutely. But we'd have had time to get some of this straightened out.
But numbers would still be,
Right.
But, like I said, I don't know about warrant articles, does it have to be specific? Can you
Yes.
say, we have, this is the capital reserve, we have ARPA, we have a grant, we don't know how much, and then we have the revolving account to fill in.
I've got
But no
stacks of
taxation.
NHMA webinars this thick that says, yes, it must be very specific,
Right.
yeah. Jenny's got years of experience that tells
When
her.
are you getting, when are you getting the ambulance supposedly?
beginning of 2024.
If, you
So
know,
why are you doing a warrant article now?
well,
Because
if it comes in January.
we won't have time.
If it comes in January, that's before
Oh,
the
you
2024 March
could
meeting.
conceivably come earlier, is what you're saying.
Well,
Well,
no,
the
it
new
does-
year of 2024, so
Right.
January or
If it would come
February.
before
This
the,
is 2022.
Yes.
Right.
yeah, but it's 23 when you're voting on it,
Only for
and-
another week.
Oh,
and then in 24, it would be, it's hopefully coming before the next,
It'd be here before the
Meeting.
next election.
Okay.
Right.
mhm.
Yeah, I don't know, that, like I said, and this is part of, it. Now somebody's gotta find out, and it's Christmas, and there's all these other things to do, and we have nobody to do the town report, and, you know, it's just, yeah, it is what it is.